Hi, I'm Nikki Roberson, and I'm with Healing Black Women. And today I come to you to talk about caregiver stress. It's important that we first identify caregiver stress so that we would know how to deal with stress while we're caring for a loved one. Caregiver stress is a physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. It typically results from a person neglecting their own physical and emotional health because they are focused on caring for an ill, injured, or disabled loved one. We will go into a two-part series about caregiver stress. We will focus on the different types of caregiver stress, tips to care for yourself while caring for a loved one, and different ways to deal with caregiver stress. Caring for a loved one can take its toll on even the strongest person. It's important to take care of yourself and take time out for yourself, even if it's just 30 minutes to an hour a day. I know firsthand what caregiver stress is like. Caring for a loved one has its own rewards, but at the same time, it can be stressful. I was a caregiver for my son for many, many years. And on top of being a caregiver, I worked outside the home. So I was the provider, the cook, the nurse, the maid, his transporter, his therapist, his teacher, and his caregiver. It's a lot of hats to wear all at one time for one person. But my son was really, really sick. Um, he had lung issues. He was on oxygen 24 hours of the day. He had a heart condition, and he was developmentally delayed. We had a lot going on. He had a really, really hard, start in life. He spent a great deal of time in the hospital. He was even on life support several different times, and we basically lived in the hospital for the first 2 years of his life. There was even one time he was on life support. It was in a coma for 2 months. Um, we had heart surgery at 2 years old. The doctors even told us that he wouldn't live past two, but God, today he's healthy and he's strong. But he had surgery at 2 years old, and during this time he was oxygen dependent. He was on several different types of medications. He needed all types of therapy. We had therapists coming in and out of the house all day, and then there were times when I had to take him to therapy. And sometimes we would go to 2 to 3 different types of therapists in one day. We was running all over the place. I was a mess. When I tell you I was busy, I was busy. And on top of all of this, I held down a job because I had to bring in some income. So, I had to work. During the time that I would work, my mother would come in and keep him while I tried to work at least a few hours a day. It eventually came to where I had to leave my job and care for him full time. And during this time, I found myself becoming more and more stressed, and depression soon set in. I was so full of emotion. I didn't have many friends. I couldn't get along with anyone. I argued a lot with my mother. and I pushed everyone away from me because I was just going through, so much. I was dealing with a lot. And the few friends I had, they disappeared. Um, I've always heard a saying that if you want to know who your real friends are, go through something and see who sticks and stand by you. That's when you know who your real friends are. I felt very lonely. It was a lonely life. Like, I was dealing with all this on my own, and I felt like no one understood. So I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone. I was mad, I was angry, I was frustrated, and I was tired. And it was just a constant toll on my body. Stress over a long period of time can harm your health. I started having all kind of health issues. I was already diagnosed with lupus. The lupus started to get worse, and I needed to take care of myself. But somewhere in the middle of all of this, I just didn't recognize it. I just didn't get it. So when you're dealing with a lot and you are caring for a loved one, it's important that you recognize the signs of caregiver stress. It's important to watch for, and we're going to talk about the signs of caregiver stress. And we will touch base with the signs of caregiver stress on the second part of our series. Until then, be blessed.